Welcome to Crime Story with Camila, where we dive deep into the most chilling and mysterious true crime cases. If you love real-life crime stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and share so you never miss an update. Your support helps us bring you the most in-depth investigations and untold stories. On January 11th, 2013, the body of 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was discovered inside a rolled-up gym mat at Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia. What should have been a routine day at school turned into a tragedy that would spark national outrage and years of unanswered questions. Authorities quickly ruled his death an accident, claiming he had become trapped while reaching for a shoe. But his family, independent investigators, and many in the public believe otherwise. Was Kendrick Johnson the victim of a tragic accident, or is there something more sinister at play? Was this a case of murder followed by an elaborate cover-up? From inconsistencies in the autopsy results to missing surveillance footage and accusations of law enforcement misconduct, Kendrick's case is filled with troubling gaps. Over a decade later, his family is still fighting for the truth. In this documentary, we'll take an in-depth look at the details of the case, the official findings, and the growing body of evidence that suggests foul play. We will explore the theories, the key players, and the chilling possibility that justice for Kendrick Johnson may have been deliberately obstructed. Kendrick Johnson was a 17-year-old high school student from Valdosta, Georgia. He was well-liked, athletic, and deeply connected to his family. A talented basketball and football player, Kendrick had dreams of playing at the collegiate level. Described as kind-hearted and full of energy, he was known for his close bond with his parents and siblings. Kendrick attended Lowndes High School, where he had a routine of storing his gym shoes inside large, rolled-up wrestling mats in the school's gym, something some students did to avoid locker room fees. On January 10th, 2013, he never returned home after school, prompting immediate concern from his parents. When he failed to show up the next morning, his mother, Jackie Johnson, went to the school to report him missing. Less than an hour later, around 10:30 a.m., students entering the gym made a shocking discovery. Kendrick's body was found headfirst inside one of the rolled-up mats. His feet were sticking out from the top, and he was wearing only socks. His shoes were found at the bottom of the mat, behind his legs. School officials quickly called law enforcement, and an investigation was launched. However, from the very beginning, Kendrick's death would become one of the most controversial cases in recent history. While authorities maintained their stance that it was a tragic accident, Kendrick's family and independent investigators would uncover disturbing evidence that suggested something far more sinister. What really happened to Kendrick Johnson? And why has his case remained so heavily disputed for more than a decade? The answers may lie in the inconsistencies, missing evidence, and the voices of those still fighting for justice. When law enforcement arrived at Lowndes High School's gym on January 11th, 2013, they were met with a disturbing scene. Kendrick Johnson's body was found headfirst inside a tightly rolled-up gym mat, his face swollen and discolored. His arms were positioned close to his body, making it unclear how he could have maneuvered inside the mat voluntarily. The Lowndes County Sheriff's Office led the initial investigation, and within just 24 hours, authorities concluded that Kendrick's death was a tragic accident. According to their official report, Kendrick had been attempting to retrieve his shoe from inside the mat, fell in headfirst, and became trapped. Unable to escape, they claimed he had died from positional asphyxia, a condition where the body is stuck in a position that prevents normal breathing. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, performed an autopsy, which supported the theory of accidental death. The report stated that there were no signs of foul play and no trauma to Kendrick's body that suggested he had been attacked. With this conclusion, the case was officially closed, leaving Kendrick's family in disbelief. However, several details immediately raised questions. The positioning of Kendrick's body seemed unnatural for an accident. His face showed severe swelling and bruising, inconsistent with simple asphyxiation. His arms were at his sides, rather than outstretched as if he had been trying to push himself out. The shoe he was supposedly reaching for was found beneath him, not in his hands. Adding to the suspicion, law enforcement claimed that the case required no further investigation. No crime scene tape was used, and the gym was never fully secured. Even more concerning, Kendrick's family was denied access to key evidence, leading them to believe authorities were deliberately covering up the truth. Determined to get answers, Kendrick's parents ordered an independent autopsy, which would later reveal shocking inconsistencies with the official findings. What was initially ruled an accident was beginning to look more and more like something far more sinister. From the very beginning, Kendrick Johnson's parents, Jackie and Kenneth Johnson, refused to accept the official ruling that their son's death was a tragic accident. They were adamant that Kendrick would not have voluntarily crawled into the mat and that the explanation given by authorities made no logical sense. Feeling that the investigation had been rushed and key evidence ignored, the Johnson family took matters into their own hands. They hired Dr. William Anderson, an independent pathologist, to perform a second autopsy. The results were shocking. Dr. Anderson's autopsy, conducted in June 2013, concluded that Kendrick did not die from positional asphyxia as the original report stated. Instead, his findings suggested that Kendrick had died from blunt force trauma to the right side of his neck, near his jawline. This type of injury, he claimed, was consistent with an assault, not an accident. Even more disturbing, Dr. Anderson discovered that several of Kendrick's internal organs were missing and had been replaced with newspaper. While the funeral home claimed this was a standard practice after an autopsy, Kendrick's family saw it as further evidence of a cover-up. They believed that crucial evidence of foul play had been deliberately destroyed. The independent autopsy findings reignited public interest in the case, and the Johnsons began demanding justice. They pushed for the case to be reopened, alleging that their son had been murdered and that local authorities were involved in covering up the crime. As national attention on Kendrick's case grew, inconsistencies in the investigation became harder to ignore. Missing surveillance footage, conflicting witness statements, and law enforcement's refusal to release certain evidence only deepened suspicions that something sinister had happened to Kendrick Johnson. The Johnson family's relentless fight for justice led to a federal investigation, but what it uncovered would only add to the controversy surrounding Kendrick's tragic death. As the Johnson family continued to fight for justice, they took legal action against multiple parties they believed were involved in Kendrick's death and its alleged cover-up. In 2014, Kendrick's parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Lowndes County school officials, arguing that their son was murdered and that the school failed to protect him. The lawsuit alleged that Kendrick had been attacked by classmates and that the school had knowledge of prior conflicts, but did nothing to prevent the incident. The lawsuit pointed to a pair of brothers, the Bell brothers, as possible suspects. Their father was an FBI agent at the time, leading to speculation that federal authorities helped suppress evidence to protect them. The Johnsons claimed that Kendrick had been in a fight with one of the brothers in the past, and they believed that this altercation played a role in his death. However, no direct evidence linked the brothers to the crime, and they were never charged. Following growing public pressure, the U.S. Department of Justice opened a federal investigation into Kendrick Johnson's death in 2015. The investigation focused on possible civil rights violations and whether a cover-up had taken place. The FBI reviewed evidence, including surveillance footage from the gym, but their findings did not lead to any arrests or indictments. In 2016, the Justice Department officially closed its investigation, stating that there was insufficient evidence to support criminal charges. This decision was a major blow to the Johnson family, who remained convinced that the truth had been suppressed. In response to the wrongful death lawsuit, the Bell family filed a $1 million defamation lawsuit against Kendrick's parents, arguing that their public accusations had damaged their reputations. The case was later dismissed, but it added another layer of complexity to an already controversial case. Kendrick's parents, in turn, filed lawsuits against the local sheriff's office and other law enforcement agencies, accusing them of withholding evidence and obstructing justice. However, many of these cases were dismissed due to a lack of conclusive proof. In March 2021, nearly a decade after Kendrick's death, the case was reopened by the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office after receiving new evidence from the FBI. Sheriff Ashley Polk reviewed the case and concluded, once again, that Kendrick's death was an accident. Polk released a 16-page report in 2022 stating that there was no credible evidence of foul play. However, Kendrick's family rejected these findings, calling them another attempt to cover up the truth. They insisted that key evidence, including missing surveillance footage and conflicting witness testimonies, had been ignored. Despite repeated legal battles, appeals, and independent investigations, Kendrick Johnson's case remains unresolved in the eyes of his family and many supporters. To this day, his parents continue to fight for justice, believing that someone, somewhere, knows what really happened to their son. As of February 2025, the legal battle surrounding Kendrick Johnson's death continues to evolve. On February 21, 2025, the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit issued a significant ruling regarding the Johnson family's ongoing lawsuit. The Federal Appeals Court has asked a Georgia court to reconsider a previous decision that dismissed the family's lawsuit, which alleges a conspiracy to violate their civil rights and claims that public records were withheld from them. This development indicates that, even after more than a decade, the quest for answers and justice in Kendrick Johnson's case remains unresolved. In addition to the legal proceedings, public support for the Johnson family has remained strong. In August 2024, hundreds of supporters marched in Atlanta, organized by the group Israel United in Christ, demanding justice for Kendrick and expressing solidarity with the family's ongoing fight. The Johnson family continues to advocate for a thorough and transparent investigation into Kendrick's death, maintaining their belief that crucial evidence has been overlooked or suppressed. Their persistence underscores the broader issues of transparency and accountability within the justice system, especially in cases involving young African American individuals. As the case returns to the lower court for reconsideration, the Johnson family's unwavering commitment serves as a poignant reminder of the enduring struggle for justice and the importance of ensuring that every voice is heard in the pursuit of truth. More than a decade after Kendrick Johnson's tragic death, his case remains one of the most controversial and unsettling mysteries in recent history. What began as a supposed accident has turned into a nationwide debate about justice, corruption, and the power of those in authority. Despite multiple investigations, 2 autopsies with conflicting results, and legal battles that have spanned years, the Johnson family remains steadfast in their pursuit of the truth. To them, Kendrick's death was not an accident, but a murder that has been deliberately covered up. The missing surveillance footage, inconsistencies in autopsy reports, and unanswered questions surrounding the investigation continue to fuel suspicions. With the recent federal appeals court ruling allowing the family's lawsuit to be reconsidered, Kendrick's case is far from closed. Public support for his family remains strong, and protests, petitions, and demands for justice continue. Kendrick Johnson's death is more than just a tragic loss. It represents a fight for accountability, transparency, and the value of every life. Whether justice will ever be fully served remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: Kendrick's story will not be forgotten. His family's relentless fight serves as a powerful reminder that no case should be ignored, and no question should go unanswered.
Thanks for watching. For more interesting videos, please subscribe.